to cast their net a little bit wider. And I mean, there is a lot of ambassadors out there, the majority, of course, in the US, but you'll find some dotted around the world, and I'm one of them here in Australia, or to my knowledge, the only one in Australia, actually. And it is thought to basically tell the general public about the mission and why it's important to send missions to a near-Earth asteroid like Bennu and what we can learn from it. And also, apart from the actual science, do a little bit of STEM outreach and hopefully sort of spark the interest of some young students who are in grade 7 to grade 12 here in Australia to maybe look into this as a career in space science and engineering. So that there's actually something out there you can make a career out of. So and that's what I'm doing predominantly. I go to schools. Most of my talks are in schools, and it's quite nice to see it when the kids look at the presentation, and I've got lots of videos in it. So the launch of the mission, and the research group has a fabulous assortment of educational short videos you can use, how the sample will be acquired and so on. And so you can captivate the audience nicely with that, and it's very rewarding. So I do that pro bono, so it's my hobby, and you get something out of it, and it's very enjoyable.
Yeah, well, I can understand that. I mean, everything I'm doing here, this podcast and the website also, it's just to, just to share what we do and get people excited about it.
But it's important because it's astronomy. That's sort of an observation I made around here. It's sort of the poor relative. I mean, it's not much mentioned in school, and you find when you approach science staff and you tell them about it, they're usually excited. They jump on it because there is not much out there. Not many other incursions happen at schools, and unfortunately, the science teachers are not always very experienced when it comes to astronomy. So I hope to, wake some interest there as well. And if you pass, say, a meteorite around in the room, and people, the students can take it in their hand, and it's, you say, look, this is actually probably the oldest thing you ever held in your hand. It's a few billion years old, and that's usually, when you see the penny drop sometimes with some kids, and it's really fun, and I like it. And and I hope I will have in the future always time to do it, because obviously school and normal work often is at the same time. So, but I've been fortunate to be able to set some time aside for it.
Mm-hmm. Are there? Well, let me rephrase it. So, with the mission, you mentioned when the craft is arriving and that thing. Are there any other highlights that are always watching out for? Interesting times when there's going to be information coming out or footage that we can see.
I mean, definitely what I would follow on the OSIRIS-REx website, which is asteroidmission.org, and is the arrival of the probe in August, because at the moment Bennu is like most other asteroids, just a dot in a star field, and So it will be quite exciting when the spacecraft actually is on approach and similar like Pluto and the Dawn mission at Vesta and Ceres. You actually suddenly you get every day you get a better image, and I expect that to happen, and it will be really exciting to actually see what the surface structure of Bennu.
So it does have a camera on board. Then I know some missions they don't for some reason. Yeah, like Juno, where actually the camera was an afterthought to put it on. So I think for all space missions, just to get this public buy-in, I do believe there has to be a camera on board. And when it comes to OSIRIS-REx, there is a very extensive camera suite on board, which will really analyze the surface and composition of the asteroid very, very closely, because the composition is important. We want to know what Bennu can tell us, because it's a near-Earth asteroid. It's a carbonaceous asteroid, so one of the rarer sort, and it comes every 6 years close to Earth, and there is a remote possibility that it could get even closer and strike Earth. Very remote chance, but still. And as of the moment, we obviously, as humans, have no means of deflecting an asteroid. And the more we know about them, and the more we learn down the track, we obviously can hopefully do something about it. And Bennu is one of these candidates. It's about 500 meters in diameter. It has roughly the shape of a walnut, and rotates once in 4.5 hours roughly. And so if something like that hits us, that can really ruin your day. So the more we know, the better it is. So hence OSIRIS-REx is one of these key missions that are important to learn about these near-Earth objects. And there is a few other missions out there. I mean, you've got currently the Japanese mission Hayabusa out there, and similar. So you can sort of deduct the trend a little bit. So I think the reality that if something like that happens, and the consequences has sunk in with the decision makers, and it's a good thing. So to send these missions out there and learn, and hopefully then come up with a solution what we can do to prevent an asteroid strike, which would be really not good for us at the moment. When we were chatting a few days or a few weeks ago, I was asking about citizen science projects, and you mentioned Target Asteroid. Do you know how much do you know about that? What can
Target Asteroids is a program run by the same research group, and it reaches out to amateurs who have equipment sort of 8-inch telescopes and up, and do observations photographically of a selected target list of asteroids, and report their observations back to the team, because you just don't get the manpower with professional observatories to verify orbits, etc., of amateurs have a really, really good place in science and research, and these research teams are really grateful for amateurs, and you can make a really meaningful contribution to our hobby in astronomy as a whole. So it's a good thing. It's very rewarding. You obviously need to have equipment of a certain size, but just by some of the people I know and I'm familiar with, that's not a problem. It's more the dedication of time and going out there and take the photos. But it's called Target Asteroids. There's links also via the asteroid mission website. So I'm sure that the team will be grateful if some people might have a look at it.
Great, thanks. Just a bit of a sidetrack here. It just occurred to me while you were talking earlier about your work with OSIRIS-REx and visiting schools and so on. Mm. Have you ever had people like moon landing deniers and flat Earth types confront you about this, asking you to confess that you're that you're making it all up or some such nonsense?
Actually, I have to say, not so much in schools. I think they've got their head all screwed on the right way, and I think especially the kids which are really networked these days, I think they believe it because they're all very tech savvy, and so the fact that someone can go up to the moon and walk around on it, that's definitely is not questioned. I think I get it more with some of the older audience I've got. One of my hobbies or pastimes is I collect sort of space memorabilia, so if I can afford it, that is. And so like flown artifacts from Apollo missions and so on, and every now and then you get it. So I said, "Do you think they really were there?" And I said, "Yeah, yes, they actually were." And it's it amazes me that you would be able to first of all get a fake story like that past the almost 400,000 people who worked on the Apollo missions, for starters, and then past the Russian competitors who very closely looked what was going on. I mean, it would have been
and they actually congratulated them afterwards. Why would they do that if they?
I mean, nothing would have been better than they finding out it was all happening somewhere in the American desert somewhere. So look, of course it's real, and I've been fortunate to meet some moonwalkers, and every time you actually in the presence of someone like that, they are. It's a special type of person, or any astronaut as a matter. So like Chris Hadfield and so on, they have this aura of, they don't have to prove anything around them. And I find that immensely inspiring, and to walk up to Buzz Aldrin and tell him it's all a fake, I think is just an insult. So yeah.
I believe he's treated it as an insult. Didn't he punch that guy out? Yeah, they kept harassing him, and eventually he lost his temper.
Yeah, he floored someone, and that was I think he was a bit younger then, but yeah, but. I've seen him a couple of times, and he's very opinionated, and he's got an awful lot of experience, and so I think also as respect for his colleagues from Apollo 1 who gave their lives or lost their lives in the pursuit of getting there. I think, of course, it's an insult, and you don't want to hear stuff like that. So, and I mean, if you look at it this way, with the gear they had and what